Well, one of the things that I like to do a lot, and I try to make it a point to do this, is that I like to start the class with an exercise. And generally, it might seem like random and unappealing, and it's like no big deal. But the reason behind doing an exercise is because my philosophy is that you're entering that creative space. And often we are like typing and we're like emailing, and then we're also like poking at the phone, and then we're cooking and doing other things. So when you enter the creative space, I'm having you relax yourself a little, because like in sports and in art, you have to be very relaxed in order to really feel in tune with what you're creating. And so we do some exercises to enter the creative space, to relax ourselves, to understand that now we're going to hold the pencil in a different manner because we're trying to render some images, and that's how we generally enter the studio. And then the project that I wanna play with you is that we're gonna do a little bit of cubism. And for that, we choose any object. I chose these glasses, and I drew them already on my paper. I'm gonna actually open up the share screen so you can see how I'm gonna develop this little exercise. And you could be doing this all day long, like seriously. So I've already drawn, you can see here what I'm gonna need. I actually am going to be doing this on black paper because we often don't do this, the black paper investigation, and I think it's worth doing. So I have my rendition of my glasses, nothing fancy, there they are. And that's just on a single line. We are gonna need a ruler for this exercise. I drew the glasses in pencil. You might be able to, no, it doesn't show. It doesn't register the pencil marks. But again, this is black paper. And then the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm going to start drawing some lines, some straight lines. Important to note about using a ruler is that you have to apply pressure from the top, always from the top. And I always tell my students, when you do this, get in the habit of putting your fingers behind the numbers, because later on, you're going to want to use your ruler for like scoring things like pieces of paper, or like later you might do a project where you are cutting with an X-Acto knife. So you don't want to be in this, you don't want to be doing this, because you also get a bump instead of a straight line. So get in the habit of putting your fingers right there behind the numbers. And that way, when you apply pressure down on your ruler, like all these things are like super basic things, right, about how to use a ruler. But it's important to recognize that we often forget, and then we're managing like lines and shapes and things, and we often forget, and the ruler glides. The other thing about the ruler is that it's going to stay flat at all times. And notice how I'm already putting in some lines, and then I'm also going to put some lines on top of the glasses, on top of the inside shape, as I call it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to fragment the glasses with all these lines, because for cubism, we are going to be concerned with geometric shapes. So we have a couple of triangles happening in here. We have other ones in here. And I'm big on doing triangles. I like triangles the most out of all the geometric shapes. The reason is because in art history, and actually in general, our education, the triangle is the most stable shape. A circle you can roll away, but this one is pretty stable, and you will notice it. You will notice it a lot in art history. You will notice the artist strategically place compositions of people in a triangular shape, and it's an important investigation to do when we get back to the museum setting or the gallery setting, or when you look through art catalogs or art books like that. See, and I'm talking, and I'm putting more lines in there. I'm also going to start putting more lines inside the glasses. Essentially, what's going to happen is that the glasses are going to be a little bit lost in all the lines, with all the geometric lines that are happening around it. And soon it will become a bunch of geometric shapes, different shapes of all types. I realize that it gets a little blurry sometimes like that. See, this is what I got going on so far. So you can see it. You can see the shape of the glasses because they're pretty round, and all the other shapes that I'm injecting here are pretty straight. And this is one of them. We did this project, I was going to say yesterday, last session with my drawing class. And it was one of the projects that we liked the most. And we decided that when we did this class again, we will do it on black paper. Again, because yes, you can use color pencils. Let me see if I can get them in here. You can use color pencils on top of black paper. If you haven't done this exercise, oh, you have to. But here's one thing. You can start your exercise with construction paper, but only as like, I'm gonna try this out because I don't trust Cristina. I don't know what magic she did, but maybe it won't work. You can try it on construction paper, but once you really like this way of creating art, get yourself Canson black paper or a better quality paper. It will be thicker, it will be better quality. It will be archival. Construction paper will fade, will bleach out. It won't be pretty in a long time. And we need to investigate and be more careful with the materials that we choose. When we're students,
Cristina, what kind of white pencil are you using?
This is nothing fancy. This is actually just a regular color pencil. Let me set it down. This is trying to. You can see the brand. This is an Artist Loft because
so it's like the Michaels.
Yeah, it's the Michaels brand. So no, it's nothing fancy. I do have like design color pencils. I do have like Prismacolor are my favorite. Yeah. Like higher quality color pencils, you get the smoothness and the intensity of the pigment, which is what you want.
Yeah, but this one looks really nice.
Yeah, they're pretty decent. To me, I've been an artist all my life. And since I was a little kid, I actually grew up in Mexico. And I remember working with crayons, and I detested them all the time, even as a little kid, even when I knew early on that I was going to be an artist. And I didn't like them because they have all those shavings coming out of them. And I thought it was like it was a mess, an unnecessary mess, really. That's what was happening. And so I didn't like crayons. And then with color pencils, also, I realized on my own that the cheap ones were really hard and they wouldn't give you a lot of color and they will scrape on your paper. And so that was always a concern for me. But
I love the idea of imagining little Cristina with strong opinions about crayons and colored pencils.
Yes. And I, when we draw animals, I like because it doesn't matter who you are, how much experience you have in drawing and in painting, or what level or what age you are. When we draw animals, there's something slightly stressful about drawing an animal, especially a horse. I kind of like it when my students are like, I want to draw a horse. And I'm like, oh, here we go. You're not going to be able to draw a fully developed horse in half an hour. And then we have this fascination with transferring. Like if I want to draw myself, I want to see everything onto paper. And yes, we can do it. Yes, it's a beautiful thing. But first, we don't have all the time. We don't have all the tools. We don't have all the skills. We don't have all the practice and experience to get it done like in half an hour. And one of the stories that I like to tell all my students when we draw animals is that when I was a little kid, I thought I drew a white horse. I want to draw a white horse. This is me, little Cristina in Mexico.
Little Cristina.
And then I go to my sister and show her, like I have 3 younger sisters. And I say, look at my drawing. And then one of them says, oh yeah, it's a nice donkey. Yeah, it's a nice donkey. And I'm like, it's a white horse. She's like, well, it looks like a donkey. I was like, okay.
Oh, the poor horse. No horse wants to be mistaken for a donkey.
Yeah, no, and then I go to my other sister and I'm like, hey, what do you think about my drawing? Look at my drawing. And she's like, yeah, it's a nice cat. It's a nice cat. And so that's when I learned, okay, oh my gosh, this is harder than you think it is. Like soon I wanted to turn it into like a unicorn or something, but
Yeah.
essentially the ears were given off a different, and the body proportions were given off a different read. Not that wasn't doing a cat or a donkey. I mean, why would I want to draw a donkey? That's not exciting to me. I saw donkeys everywhere. They were never exciting to me, but anyways, so that was that. And as I'm talking, I'm filling in the space with more lines and creating more divisions, trying to fragment the space, which is what we really want to do. We want to kind of try to lose the round shapes among all the straight lines. And then the other thing that we want to do is we want to start adding a little bit of, I can either add color or I can continue with white, and then we can start filling in some of these empty spaces. So essentially that's what it is. All these shapes are empty containers. If you haven't heard that before, well, this is what I remind my students of. These are all empty containers. And if we leave it like this, it's kind of nice, but we want to go to the next level, really. We want to take it to the next level. And we're going to start putting in some color. And notice that I'm going fast. I often tell my students I go super fast because, well, I talk fast, I walk fast, I think fast, I draw fast, but we can slow it down when we're in the lesson. And with this, I'm trying to separate the shapes a little bit more. And so I'm going to create this appearance of darkness in here, or rather, I'm going to fill in this shape like super dense here and not so much here, like that. And then I can blend in a little bit. It gives us the opportunity to blend in some colors in here if we wanted to. And then I can go to another shape and fill it in completely if I choose to. And so this is one of the areas where we just put some background music and everybody gets to be zoned out on their own projects, because this one needs to be filled in. And then maybe I'll go in here and create the appearance of a little bit of texture, fill into some of the areas will be filled in like super dark or intense. In this case, they can be dark because I'm using white, but super intense, like really fill in those cavities. And other areas will be lighter, and then other areas will be even lighter. And then on we go like that. And then again, maybe in here, I really want to make sure I fill in with really strong intensity, like really my pulse is pressuring, excuse me, pressing hard on the surface. Often when we do these exercises in general, you want to start in the middle of the shape. And especially for those of us who are fast, because I get like really wild and soon I'm out of the shape. And then once you get close to the edge, then you need to start slowing down and be more careful and intentional with where you're going with your pencil. Twist your pencil often also, because when you're coloring, it's like you're sharpening the point of the pencil. Like that. And then so we're gonna start like creating some of this effect of spaces, like different spaces in this first exploration. I could also try to start adding color. I'm gonna probably do that now, so you can see how it does work with color. I'm gonna do yellow on top of this white, and then a really good thing to do. I'm trying to be better at it myself, because as a teacher, I have lots of recommendations for you, and then I often don't follow. Try to have your color pencils sharpened before you start class, before you start your session, and then have your pencil sharpener nearby. And then see how the colors registers a little. Wait, it needs to, well, the camera is trying to adjust itself. Maybe I'll lift it up in a little bit. And then on this side, oh, there it is. It's much better. I think with this idea of sharing images online and cameras and things, how things register and project is a whole nother project. But here I am adding a little bit of color, changing the colors in every shape. You could also choose to go about this project and only use warm tones, your yellow, your orange, your red. You could do that. You could also choose to do your cool colors, your blues, purples and greens. I tend to end up using all of them most of the time. So right now it's, well, I need to put my hand in here, I guess, to make it, to tame the camera. And then I can bring in the red in here in this other area and see how I'm gonna blend in with the white. And it's also this project borrowing the idea of Cubism from the 1900, courtesy of Pablo Picasso and a bunch of other artists. Gives us also the opportunity to investigate color and filling in the spaces with dimension, adding a little bit of shading, figuring out which color combination you want to go about, and then look at that. And we can be like coloring all day long. I mean, that's what I want to do. I want to be coloring all day long. And you should too, considering that we're dealing with a lot these days. This is an important thing for us to do to help us relax and feel better. And then also invite other people to feel better. If you haven't already done this, when you make an art project, maybe make a smaller version of it, or start by making a small piece and then consider giving it to someone. It's a really nice touch. It's a really nice gesture. We don't have to keep all the things that we do. Maybe make it into.
It's funny. We have a friend who lives in Arizona, and he's not an artist, but I think during COVID he just got some watercolors and started, painting, putting stuff on paper.
Yeah.
And he sent us maybe 2 or 3 little postcard size watercolors that he's done, with a little note in the back, and they're so touching. I mean, the paint, it's not like they're not masterpieces, but they're even better than masterpieces because they're so thoughtful.
Yeah.
It was so nice to get a piece of mail, and he just wrote, "Hi, thinking of you," and we love them.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I always tell my students of all levels. Like really to spend some time and give yourself a little bit of, a little bit of love and share your love with others. Be kind and especially, I mean, this has happened in my classes all the time. Like if we have extra time, we will pick up another piece of paper and then we will share, a little like thank you card, happy birthday card, anticipating a little gesture for someone. And right now more than ever, I really want to invite you to do that. Yeah, if it doesn't, we're not shipping off masterpieces. A masterpiece takes years and years and years. Don't give yourself that.
But it's brought so much happiness to me and my husband and I, and and we know like it brought him happiness to make it. So it's kind of like a full circle of creating and then giving. Yeah. And then also I find with myself, if I make something that I hate, I'm like, oh, this is terrible. It's like I can just cut it up and make a little mixed media collage with it.
Exactly. That is a really good thing. Yeah. When in my watercolor class, we do some exercises, and I often tell the students, these little exercises, you can cut them up and then write on top of them with Sharpie, which is what I've done. Just write a little message and then drop it off on somebody's mailbox, or when we used to have the ability to share space, I would drop them on the staff mailboxes. So it's kind of like a thing that I do, and it's important to do that to help you feel better, and then also share your feelings with other people. Which is, we have lots of feelings these days, more so than ever, I think.
So much.
So much. Yeah. And so on I go with my coloring, and then I'm feeling in some areas that are like fully with the one color, and then I'm coming back. I realize I'm going a little fast in here in some of these areas, and then adding a little bit more color. Or the other thing that I like to invite my students, and I mean everybody in general, is to layer up your color. When we're doing color pencils, we tend to do like this one color and then leave it alone, which is partially good. But if you want to give a more a better appearance to your projects, then you should really be investigating layering colors. It's very important. It's another exercise we do actually in the class, where we add one color and then another one on top. And then we also create textures and patterns with them. very important to do. And on we go and on we go. So we started with that pair of glasses. They're still more or less visible. I mean, I have quite some work to still do on this piece.
And there's no pressure to finish that now.
Yeah, I know, right?
Oh
my gosh.
So maybe I will, if anyone has any questions, you can maybe unmute yourself and ask, because our group isn't too large. I think we have about 8 of us. One question, Cristina, that came up is someone wanted to know if you have your website address.
Oh yeah, it's Cristina Velazquez. It's without the H, and Velazquez is with Z's.
V-E. Remind me. I'll spell it out. V-E.
L-A-Z-Q-U-E-Z. It shows on the screen.
Oh, Q-U-Z. Q-U-Z, right?
Yes.
Wait, Q-U-E-Z. No, Q-U-Z.
Yeah, CristinaVelasquez.com. And then you'll see some of my the work that I do generally. I don't have, I haven't updated that website in a while, but I haven't put on in there like the drawings and paintings that I've done along the way. I have mostly some of the most recent work and some of the work that I did in grad school also. But I do, it's in my to-do list to go and get in there and start.
I think for the people who joined us late, we were earlier in this call, we were talking about Cristina's the large scale, the large installations she's worked on.
Yeah, how much time they take, and in art making, and I'm pretty sure most of you can relate to this. We often think, oh yeah, this is a great idea. I just have to like hang this thing, just hang it. But the hanging, the suspending of the thing, depending on how high the ceiling is and the limitations, depending on the space, some people will say, oh no, you can't hang anything here. You can't make any holes. You can't have any excuse me. You can't do any like drilling or anything like that. And so the limitations really add to the complexity of the project. It might be super simple to just suspend a soft sculpture piece, but then once you get in there, you have to navigate the rules and regulations of the space. And
I love the dresses that you had worked on.
Oh yeah, that's a body of work that I meant to keep working on, and then I haven't been back to it. But that's definitely, that came about when I graduated from undergrad, San Jose State University, with my BFA concentration painting. And then right after I graduated, I had that notorious artist block, and then I was like, oh, my professors are not here, my colleagues are not here. Oh my gosh, I don't have the resources of the studios at SJSU. And then I thought, okay, well, if you're running out of paint and canvas, what else can you make art with? And then I thought, okay, let's start recycling. And I repurposed some of those dresses, and then I started collecting objects, and then I continue to develop that body of work.
I put a picture on the chat so people can see.
That's great, thank you. So I developed that body of work about women's issues, women's concerns, women's chores, what we are asked to do because we were born women, and sometimes we like those things and often we don't. And we know that those chores can be shared by men too, so it's not just us. So we have that one dress with the kitchen utensils that's women must cook, because often task and the chores of cooking are assumed that only can be done by women. And I know it's also a cultural thing. I'm Mexican American now, so there's a lot of that. And when I go to Mexico, it's expected that women will be the ones cooking, unless they're doing a barbecue sort of thing, activity, or feeding of people. Then it becomes, men can join in on that task. But I was criticizing mainly my culture, but understanding that there are other cultures who also work this way, who also do things in the same manner.
You probably can revisit the dresses and do COVID dresses.
Oh my gosh, right?
I feel like there's been a whole flip for women, right? We're now have to, we're at home with kids and trying to do our jobs and do Zoom and make sure our kids are learning. And still cooking, but now cooking 3 meals a day instead of just dinner.
Absolutely. And I often wonder, because this is a very like at least in my family, when I go to Mexico, they intend to feed me 3 times a day. And when I'm here, I eat sometimes if I have a full meal, it's just once.
Yeah.
And I do fine. And other times it's 2. But when I'm with my relatives in Mexico, they're like, we're gonna eat on the dot 3 full meals. And I'm thinking, what is this? I'm just sitting here not utilizing my energy. You don't need to be eating at this, this much. And so the eating aspect it's an interesting also investigation, because I also tell my students, especially the little ones, just eat carefully, eat, the right portions, eat healthy, but I don't know if if that's being considered fully. And so with being at home, I also notice, because I teach a lot of Zoom classes, and I know that sometimes the students will scream for help to their parents, and then I have to redirect them and remind them, no, I'm the teacher. You asked me the question. So I also trying to separate the home life from the student life. And I was like, no, don't go screaming and asking your parents to help you. I'm the expert. You ask me. And then also leave your mom alone. I'm pretty sure she has a lot of things to do. Like, don't go after her.
Well, I feel like you have to teach kids to learn how to advocate for themselves and not depend on their parents all the time.
Exactly. And it's kind of tough, I'll tell you, even when it was in person, for the younger ones. Like if we have toddlers and pre-K and kindergartners, they still want to do a little doodle and show the grown-up. Like it's a lot of show and tell. So it's tough for them. But all the other ones, they can manage.
And at that age, though, it's so beautiful because they're like creating these things for the first time, and they have so much pride, and you don't want to destroy that.
Yeah, that's exactly what happens.
So we're past 11. I don't want to keep you longer. I appreciate this wonderful demo.
Thank you.
I know everyone's enjoyed it. And I put your class information for this class. I'll put it back in the chat for people that have that joined late.
Yes.
And your class starts in, I think, November. This class starts November 2nd.
Yeah.
And then you have a landscape painting class.
Also, yes.
Yeah. And that starts at the end of October. Oh, right. Beautiful.
And I'm showing the piece so you can see, like, I think it looks better when I do it this way, but it's, it's a little harder to manage. I just wanted to show you how it goes when you start coloring. And then look, if you move away from it, I'm going to start to lose the shapes of the sunglasses, even though we got to recognize that I have these round shapes here, but they will start to fade away. And I invite you to look at the books by Pablo Picasso with his specific interest in cubism, because essentially the object is there. It becomes very abstracted once we start injecting all these lines and all these geometric shapes. That's what we're going for. And I do a lot of triangles. We could have like squares in there. Once you fill them in, also depending on how you fill them in, if you want to give proportion to them, give them some kind of a rounded effect, then they'll start to really twist the object, and you might see it firsthand, but you might not. And kind of that is the objective. It's there, but we want to be able to have our viewers dig for it, like not immediately like, oh, it's nice, what is it? Like, keep looking. I worked in museums a lot, so there's always that, that's nice, what is it? Like an immediate need for information, when really all the information is there. And invite your colleagues, your relatives, your friends to really sit with the image. That's what we do. Sit with the image and look for things. Like I think people are scared that they don't know what to look for. They feel weird not knowing. They feel like, oh, I'm gonna sound dumb. And it's really, it shouldn't be that way. It shouldn't be that way. Whatever you see, and that's it. That's it. If you see like a glass of wine, well, that's not my intention because I don't drink. But if that's what you see, okay, tell me where you see it and how come you arrive at that visual. And there's nothing wrong with that. And then I can say, well, no, actually, they're just sunglasses. But if you see a glass of wine, that's nice. It's a nice glass of wine. It's not here. And,
or see a donkey. That's
oh, I got the donkey.
Back to the donkey.
It's a horse. It's a wild horse.
It's a horse. Cristina, thank you so much for joining us. It was such a pleasure. I'm so happy you're at PAL, and just all the experience that you've brought as, a practicing artist and a teacher. We just feel so blessed and fortunate to have you on staff. And
well, thank you so much for having me.
And I just want to remind everyone, for those who have joined late, this has been recorded and we'll put it on YouTube, hopefully by tomorrow, so you can rewatch. And if you have any questions, please email me. My email is Ally, ALY, @pacificartleague.org. Cristina, do you want to, I guess if someone wants to ask you a question, is it best to email or through your website?
Either way, we'll definitely, yeah.
What's your email? I'll put it into the chat.
It's let me see, the PAL email. It's Cristina at PAL. I forget that whole thing actually.
Oh, how about this? They can email me and I will forward along to you. Yeah.
Yeah, that's better. Yeah, but I'm very accessible. So yeah. So thank you for having me. This was lovely. I'm so glad you all stopped by. Let's keep on sipping our coffee. Let's keep on drawing, cubism, abstraction, anything, and just really just take care of yourselves and try to, be at peace, be happy.
Agreed.
Words, and then everything else after that.
Exactly. Well, wonderful, Cristina. Thank you. And thank you for everyone joining us. And you've had wonderful comments, Cristina, in the chat. You wanted to look. Everyone said, thank you. You were great on Zoom. You were awesome. So
thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Bye. Have a lovely day.
Bye.